A large duffel bag sat abandoned by the curb. It emitted a series of soft, rhythmic squeaks, a sound that both intrigued and unnerved passersby. Curiosity battled with fear, and most simply walked on, their gaze lingering on the bag. But one woman, a kind soul named Lily, couldn't ignore the pleading cries. She cautiously approached the bag, her heart pounding. The squeaks intensified as she unzipped the heavy fabric. Inside, nestled in a pile of old blankets, were 4 tiny kittens, barely bigger than her hand. They were emaciated, their fur matted, and their eyes filled with a desperate hunger. Lily's heart ached. She quickly gathered them, their frail bodies trembling in her arms, and rushed to the nearest animal shelter. The volunteers at the shelter were amazed at Lily's quick thinking. They immediately provided the kittens with the medical attention they desperately needed, their tiny bodies weak from malnutrition. For the first few days, the staff hand-fed the kittens with a bottle, their small bodies growing stronger with each feeding. As the kittens started to recover, a decision was made. They needed a mother's love, a mother's warmth, to help them truly thrive. Their eyes fell on Destiny, a beautiful calico cat who had arrived at the shelter a few days earlier with 3 kittens of her own. Destiny had been a loving mother, but her kittens had recently been adopted, leaving her lonely and yearning for a new brood. The volunteers gently placed the 4 rescued kittens near Destiny. It was a gamble. Would she accept them? Would she see them as her own? The answer was an immediate and resounding yes. Destiny, recognizing the vulnerability of the tiny creatures, instinctively reached out, her maternal instincts kicking in. She nuzzled them, licked their fur, and began to nurse them. The kittens, ecstatic at the warmth and comfort of a mother's touch, clung to Destiny, their tiny bodies finding solace in her presence. The shelter staff watched with joy as the makeshift family thrived. But time, as it always does, marched on. The kittens grew larger, their playful personalities emerging, and soon, it was time for them to find their own families. The staff, while thrilled with the kittens' progress, found themselves dreading the day they would have to say goodbye. Destiny, too, seemed to sense the change. Her meows grew a bit more insistent, her purrs a bit more pleading. She seemed to know that her time with her adopted children was nearing its end. The day of the adoption event arrived, and the shelter was filled with eager families, all hoping to bring home a new furry friend. As the families interacted with the kittens, the staff noticed something unusual. The kittens, normally playful and energetic, seemed hesitant, clinging to Destiny, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and reluctance. It wasn't just the kittens. Destiny, too, seemed to be holding back, her usual warmth replaced with a somber quietness. She looked at her adopted children, her eyes filled with a sadness they couldn't quite understand. A young couple, captivated by the kittens' playful antics, were about to take their pick when a little girl, no more than 4 years old, tugged at her mother's sleeve. She pointed to Destiny, her eyes welling up with tears. "Mommy, can we please take the mommy cat too?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The couple, stunned by the little girl's request, looked at each other. They had come for a kitten, not a cat, but something about the sight of Destiny and her adopted children, a family bound by love, tugged at their hearts. They could not deny the little girl's request, nor the unspoken plea in Destiny's eyes.